Good evening. This is Defacto Review with me, Jargal Tampatarja. We will highlight two events of last week in Mongolia. First, about public hearing on coal theft will be held in Mongolia next week. Second topic is about specialized anti-corruption court to be set in Mongolia. So these are two issues. These issues, the planning itself is just happening, but the very implementation will be a different matter, and we will certainly follow what will happen after these decisions. First, about the public hearing on so-called coal theft. This is the second time public hearing in Mongolian parliamentary history is happening. Well, about that first hearing results, we will discuss later what will happen at the court. But about this long-awaited, public hearing of coal theft is to start next week. On October 10th of this year, there is a special committee of the parliament was established, and the head of that committee is Mr. Inkbayar, who is currently the Minister of Justice of Mongolia. He used to be the head of the first hearing on the development bank. So he became a minister recently, and he will continue to be a head of this committee. And that committee will have this hearing organized, first one on December 4 to 8, and the second stage of this hearing will be on October 18 to 22. They will hear four kinds of information. That is related to the Tavan Tolga Erdines company, which is the major state-owned coal company in the country, which possesses the largest coking coal deposit in the country. In fact, it's one of the largest, some 7.3 billion tons reserve, largest coking coal mine in the world. So they will hear four types of information. First, about this company's whole operation from production to sales, and then secondly, they will also hear the results or outcome of all related authorities checking of the activities of this company. The third, about the financials of the company. The fourth, a particular period from 2011 to 2023. All contracts, including its subcontracts, include contracts, and all procurement contracts. So it's a quite large work. Currently, there are 17 inspectors, specialized inspectors are working, collecting related information, and this committee had sent so far requirement letter request some 37 organizations in the country, including other state-owned companies. And they have a bunch of material from customs, including some 630 procurement of coal contracts. And they have also, according to the committee's press release, they have also video recording of almost all cars come through, all trucks which go through the border port, Kashun Sukhait. And it was also checking all special permissions, so-called the sea permission for international transport by trucks, and who got these licenses and when and how, etc. All the information they have been now gathering, collecting, and also they will call when they start the public hearing. They will call 175 citizens, including current and ex-parliament members, and also Khoral representatives of South Kobe, Aimak, where the mine is, and also there is a Hamburg-Sum, also Hamburg-Sum representatives, and all heads of the Mongolian mining authorities, and also including the former president Ilbegdorj, former general prosecutor Darligjov, and former minister Inkamaglang of the transport. So all these individuals, some total 175 individuals, are invited to or called to come to show up in front of these hearings, and there will be quite open questions to them. And this parliamentarian hearing is one of the classical method of parliaments where the parliamentarian democracy is rather developed, and Mongolia is using this instrument of the parliament for the second time. Well, there is actually very much need for that hearing because according to the previous investigation or preliminary investigations, the people, thousands, tens of thousands cars, trucks have been used for coal transport from the mine to the border with China, some 270 kilometers distance. And these people who were using the trucks or who are behind those transports, mostly politicians. There are 487 companies owned by also many politicians. And these people were not only transporting and selling in different way their coal, but also they have stopped the railway construction for years, 10 years or so. By different means, they have been stopping the projects. As soon as the government had stopped this sales of coal at the site, now instead they are selling it through stock exchange, and the sales are happening at the border. As a result, they have stopped the misusing of $60 to $70 per ton was almost stolen. As soon as the government stopped the sales of coal, this year had reached almost 2 times more. In previous years, when this theft was happening, only 36 or so million tons of coal Mongolia was selling, officially. But unofficially, it looks like it was way larger. At least this year, Mongolia is selling a record high volume of coking coal to China, 60 million tons. And as a result, the economy had increased substantially. Recently, it was around only 56 trillion MNT economy now. This year is reaching 72 trillion MNT economy. So which shows that as soon as we stop this kind of corruption, this kind of theft, the economy will go much better. So that's the reason why people are so eager to hear, to look for this hearing, which will be organized, as I said, December 4th to 8th next week. So everybody is watching that, and there's one thing, but the court, and because the parliament hearing is not court, the final decisions will be made by the court, and our court is making unexpected decisions. For example, after the first hearing of development bank file, the prosecutor had sent for 84 people, the accused, 84 people, but only half of them were found guilty. The remaining found not guilty. So now question in mind of Mongolian people is either prosecutor is wrong or the court is wrong, because the discrepancies between what the prosecutor said, what the court make decisions cannot be that much. Out of 80, 40 are not guilty. So people are a bit shocked, surprised, because this court decisions. So that's the first topic I would want to share with you. Our second topic is Mongolia is going to make new court. It is a specialized anti-corruption court. there are some 27 countries in the world which has this specialized court. And that specialized court is needed in Mongolia because the current court is not doing their jobs according to all this evidence we have. So the government, the cabinet had sent or submitted a special law draft to make anti-corruption specialized court last week. And the Prime Minister had made a speech at the plenary session of the parliament of why Mongolia needs that specialized court. As soon as the government submitted that draft law, the Standing Committee of the Justice could not have a meeting because the 18 members were not available. And only the head of the Standing Committee, Mr. Tsokhpatar, was talking about asking more questions about that specialized court. Looks like Parliament is not very happy with that. Majority not happy because it is coming just after also this coal theft hearing. And a coal theft, many politicians are involved, and including those who are now currently sitting in the Parliament. So why do we need that specialized court? According to the Prime Minister, who had visited 21 IMACs recently, had talked about the current situation in the country with the people straight, face to face. And the average age was 60 years old, and the most complaint was about combating corruption. And corruption, without complete stopping the very core of the corruption, without cutting that core, we cannot go to the next 30 years with confidence. Because up to now, our today's social problems like Ulaanbaatar city, smoke, traffic jam, speculation of land, non-standardized buildings, all together is the heritage of corruption, according to the Prime Minister. And he said that we have a corruption. Previously he was saying that we have a systematic corruption. Now it's called, also he said that we have corruption castles. Indeed, we have corruption castles, people who are untouched by justice and who became very rich because of the corruption. And now, ordinary cases at the court stays only the maximum 3 months. Within 3 months, everything is solved. But the very the scandalous cases are staying there for 7 years, for example. And including he was also touching the issue of the development bank and the politicians. There is a whole group of politicians who are taking a loan on behalf of the state, and they are using that loan for their own purposes. So our court system is not able to solve this kind of corruption cases. That very clear examples were mentioned, and these corruptions are disappearing slowly in the fog of the court. That's what's happening in Mongolia. That's why we need the specialized anti-corruption court. And plus, in 2021, there was a UN special declaration, anti-corruption declaration, in which the governments are appealed to work more to combat corruptions, because only their joint efforts all around the world can substantially decrease the case of corruptions. So as I said, there are 27 countries have this specialized court on corruption. They have particular set of standards for this specialized court against corruption. For example, the corruption court judges cannot meet or should not meet petitions without any minutes of the meetings. Salary of judge should not depend on politicians. In Mongolia, it is the case of standing committee decisions to increase or decrease the salary of the court judges. It should be instead using particular coefficient depending on a certain level of basis of the salary, be it minimum standard, minimum living costs, or minimum average minimum salary, etc. So particular things that do not depend on politicians. The third, the court in general. The anti-corruption court in particular should have separate buildings. In Mongolia also we need to separate legislative, executive, and the judicial branches, buildings to be separate. And so according to this, if we make this court, anti-corruption specialized court, this kind of things to be implemented, and the court should have a separate building. The Ministry of Justice in Mongolia, called in Mongolian language, it's called Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Law and Internal Affairs. But the English website called Ministry of Justice, so I wish they use their name. And that palace, of course, of justice, of the court, to be really can be called Palace of Justice. So this kind of conversations or dialogue is now happening in Mongolian society. People, of course, favor of having a specialized court, but also worried if this court again itself can be also corrupt. So we need to have a more watching, more participation of people in running this system, like the democratic system allows to do so. So Mongolia is now in front of two interesting events. One is a call hearing, as I said in the first part of our review, and also Mongolia most likely to have the specialized anti-corruption court soon. So these are two events I want to highlight for this week, and hopefully we will all together watch what exactly will happen when they implement these two plans. So thank you very much for being with us, and see you next week at this time. Bye now.